Hi, so this is sort of a unplanned mood reading week for me because I haven't really been feeling most of the books on my August TBR, so I decided to start a reading vlog where I basically mood read some books, and it's gonna be around 3 books that I've been looking at on my TBR. I feel I want to read them, so those are what I'm going to be reading this week, and you can follow along as I read these books and talk about them. If I love them, I hate them. If they're just mid, we'll see. So the idea for now is that I'm going to continue reading Foxglove by Adeline Grace. Is a sequel to Belladonna. I am 42% through this one. I'm listening to it on audio. While I'm driving, I listen to that one. But I also try to read it physically at some points when I'm home. And it's good so far. It's not like the greatest, but it's pretty good. It's perfect for transitioning to the fall season. That's why I'm reading it. And then I'm really, really excited to read this one. It's Assistant to the Villain. I haven't seen this one around since last year, but I really, really want to read it because it just sounds up my alley. I think I'm going to love it. It sounds quirky and fun. And yeah, literally, as the title says, a lady that's an assistant to a villain. It just sounds very fun and humorous. I'm here for that. And I'm like really in the mood to read something very funny. So yeah, I'm hoping that it lives up to my expectations. Based on the bad reviews of it, I actually think I'm going to love it. Then this next one I want to read is very much on a whim. I just been wanting to read it for a while, but I didn't know the perfect time. But now feels like the perfect time, so I'm going to finally pick it up. That is How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories. I read the Crow Prince trilogy. I think I finished it last year, but I read it the first book a couple of years ago, and then I reread it the year before last year. But yeah, I'm gonna finally read this one because since rereading the Cruel Prince trilogy, I've actually been thinking about it a lot because I read The Stolen Heir this year, and it honestly made me want to go back to some Juden Carden content, to be honest. Like, it was okay, but The Cruel Prince was way better. So yeah, I'm excited to read it because it has some beautiful pictures inside of it too. So I do love a good book with great illustration. So yeah, those are the books that I plan to read this week. Hopefully I get to them all and finish up my August TBR. Only 2 of them are on my August TBR. That's The Assistant to the Villain and Foxglove. Otherwise, How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories, that's not on my TBR, but that's okay. I'm just reading what I'm in the mood for because that's the best way for me to actually finish books and not get into a reading slump. Otherwise, I'll get into a reading slump if I try to force myself to read what's on my TBR for the month. Because I'm mostly a mood reader for the most part. Okay, time for a little mini update. I just finished Foxglove by Ellen Grace. The first, I'll say 20%, and like page wise, 50, 70 pages of this book, I really wasn't enjoying it. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be a DNF? But after that, like the 30% mark, I really started getting into this book because that's when we started seeing some tension between Blight and Signa, the main character in here, and like this other new character that was introduced. And honestly, it's a 4 star because going further into the book, when Signa goes to her inherited mansion called Foxglove, the vibes there was like immaculate. I really loved it. And then Blight and this other character, I cannot wait for Wisteria. That's all I gotta tell you. Like, based on some things that happen in Foxglove between Blight and this other character, I love that dynamic so much. So I didn't know that was what I was gonna get going into it. So I hope Wisteria don't disappoint me because the dynamic, the little piece of it that I got in this one has me really excited. Foxglove was really enjoyable. The vibes are really good. It definitely was given autumn, and I think it is actually set in autumn time because some of the descriptions they actually say that it's during autumn, and Belladonna happened during the fall season the prior year, and this is like the next year in autumn as well. So yeah, Foxglove is pretty great. I don't want to say too much on it because I think we'll spoil it a little bit because the plot is very specific. So like saying character names will kind of ruin it and stuff. It's best to read Belladonna first and then go into this one. But I really loved it and I'm looking forward to reading Wisteria soon. So last night I finished Foxglove. And honestly, I wanted to read Wisteria like right away, but I don't own it. But I did go and order it right away. But since I don't own Wisteria, I do want to go into some fairylands. That means I'm gonna be starting How the King of Elfin Learned to Hate Stories. I was reading the synopsis of this, and it's gonna not only be before Cardan was a cruel prince or a wicked king. It's gonna also be showing scenes in his perspective when he was with Jude. I think it's gonna have scenes from the Queen of Nothing, yeah, and like the Crow Prince. Like the actual book title is not just like his title as a Crow Prince. I'm excited knowing that about it because I didn't really know much. I tried not to know much, especially when it just came out that year. I didn't want to know what this book was about, and I actually avoided it a lot to the point that I actually didn't learn anything. So yeah, I'm gonna be starting this right now actually, and I'll get back to you when I'm finished. So, although I'm only 48 pages into How the King of Elfin Learned to Hate Stories, I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's much more than I expected. I'm seeing Cardan's perspective when he's a child and when he's a little bit older. And there was a little snippet of him meeting the twins, which is June and her sister. I hate her sister. But yeah, that was exciting seeing Jude as a child. I want to read further and see if there's any scenes of her as a kid with interacting with Cardan because we only saw her as like a teenager, not like as 10 and younger because I think she got kidnapped when she was like 7 or probably younger than that. I don't remember that part. But yeah, that'll be exciting to see that. This isn't really an update of anything important, but I just wanted to talk about it because I find it so funny. This chapter, Prince Cardan has this mod that he got from his mother, his evil mother at that. I forgot how messed up she was. But yeah, he got this mod that he basically is in the human world right now, but the mod will not fly off unless he gets it bare. And it's all his fault. But he's like, oh my gosh, this mod won't go unless I give it liquor because he trained the mod to drink liquor in order for it to like move around and fly and anything. So he has to turn leaves into money in the human world so he can go buy a 6-pack and feed it to the moth, and then it will fly off and bring him back home. I'm like, that's so messed up, but it's all his fault. I just love the art in this. Like, ooh, it's so good. Like, look at this. So beautiful. Look at Cardan. It's just chilling there with his evil self. I have to say, it is nice reading Cardan's perspective because if you read The Cruel Prince, he was terrible. Like, towards Jude, honestly, the first time I read it, I actually DNF'd and I was like, this is so bad. Like, why is this guy like this? But I read it when I was older. I think I was 20 when I read it all the way through, and I was like, it's actually not bad because at this point I recognized that I like villainous main characters, and reading it all the way through, I realized more like why he was like that. And this book really shows you why he was like that. Like some scenes, you're seeing how he really, really likes Jude, but he doesn't want to upset the fact that he likes her, so he's trying to think disgusting thoughts against her. And I like the part where when he tries to lie out loud, he just pauses and thinks it in his head instead, but he's like angry that he cannot say the lie out loud because fairies can't lie. Like, I really like it. It's good so far. Last night I finished King of Elfane and I gave it 4 stars. I knew I was going to give it around 3 to 4 stars because I already enjoyed the role of the Crow Prince and I already like Carden as a character. This one is really for readers that want more of Carden's side of the story because if you read The Crow Prince, you will see that he was portrayed in a very bad light. And honestly, it's his fault. He was trying to be evil. He did a really good job of being very villainous and very dark to the point that I was like, I can't take this anymore. He's being so bad to Jude. But Jude, she fights back. And that's one thing I love about Jude. She's a character that will fight back with all her might. And that is one of the reasons why Cardi hates her so much and tries so much to bully her because he's like, she's a human. Why is she fighting back? And why is she being so powerful, more powerful than him? She was more powerful than Carden. And even in this one, you could see how he admires that about her now that they're together and they understand each other more. And I really love seeing the scenes of them after the Queen of Nothing happened, like they're in the human world, they're with Jude's family and doing these little normal mundane things. I really love seeing that. And I also love going back in time with Carden when he's younger and seeing how he became that cool little prince. But yeah, it was a very enjoyable read. I really loved it. And I actually started reading Assistant to the Villain. So far, I'm only 24 pages in this one. I don't really have much thoughts on this one because I am only 24 pages in. I'm only on chapter 2. So I'm just at the part where the main character, I think her name is Evie. Yeah, she just became the assistant to the villain. And so far, all I can say is that the villain is not very serious, and I expected that much, but it makes it fun. Like, he's unserious as heck. Like, what kind of villain is this? Like, he's like a joke. But yeah, so far is not much. I don't have much to say on it other than this villain is kind of funny. He's not much a serious villain at all. But it does have some gory scenes at the same time. And there is some beheading, eyeballs, some stuff that isn't necessarily common, to read about. But yeah, those are my thoughts so far on Assistant to the Villain. I'll get back to you when I'm further into it. Good morning. Today's the last day of this reading vlog. I'm still reading Assistant to the Villain, but I want to do a little update because I got a little book mail and I'm excited about it because it's one book I was talking about earlier that I really want to read. I'll be reading it starting next week, hopefully. But yeah, let me unbox this box a little bit. Already beautiful. Cut it out. Ta-da! So it's Wisteria. Oh my goodness. The art in this one is even better. Let's take off the dust jacket. This is the front. The back. And the inside pages. So beautiful. Let's see the back. Oh my. I like it. I really think I'm going to love Wisteria. I think it's going to be more than 4 stars for me. The dynamic between the two characters in this one, I'm so looking forward to it because I really like that type of dynamic. And I just can't wait. Like, they were so badass in the end of Hospital. I really hope that continues in Wisteria and it's even better. We get more of these two characters. Like, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. And it's so beautiful. How long is this one? I think Belladonna was like 350 pages. No, I'm lying. Belladonna was 400 and something. Oh, this is a little bit shorter. But yeah, excited to read it next week. And a little update on Assistant to the Villain. I'm halfway through it. Yes, halfway. And it's really good so far. I'm not hating anything. It's very simple and fun. I have some pink tabs in here for like the fun parts, but I don't think you can see because the pages are right. So all the pink tabs are for stuff that makes me laugh, which is quite a bit because the main character Evie, she's very funny. And then the villain, he's like trying to be brooding on the outside, but he's really not. So yeah, it's quite good so far. I'm really enjoying it, and I'll update you when I'm all finished. So, time for wrapping up this vlog. I read Assistant to the Villain and I gave it 3.5 stars. I expected this one to fall around 3 stars, so the fact that it was 3.5 stars is very surprising for me, but it was very fun to read. The only thing I would say is I expected more on the romance part, and there wasn't much romance. Like, I really expected the romance to be more at the forefront than it was. I think that's why there's a book two, because you really didn't get much with the two main characters in here, the assistant and the villain. Everyone reading the title, you would expect the villain and the assistant to fall in love, and that would be like the main plot point. But that wasn't really it. We had like a plot that was trying to be more serious, and I honestly didn't really care for that. I just cared about Evie and the villain. That's his name, the villain. He does have an actual name, but that's his title throughout the book. He's called the villain. But yeah, it was a simple, fun read. I would recommend for people that like a good, fun book that they don't want to take too serious. They just want a light read. So yeah, I read 3 books this week, and all of them were really fun to read. I really love King of Elflane. I would say it would be my favorite one out of all the books I read this week. And then Foxglove was great. Foxglove really set me up for Wisteria. I think I'm gonna love Wisteria much more out of the Belladonna series. Those are all the books I read, and thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.